1 year since Hamas launched its deadly attack on Israel, and West Asia has not been the same since the 7th of October last year. Hezbollah's chief Hassan Nasrallah gone. Hezbollah's top commanders Ibrahim Qubaisi, Ibrahim Aqil, Fuad Shukr, Mohammad Nasir all declared dead. Hamas chief Ismail Haniyeh killed in Tehran. Mohammad Deif, commander and co-founder of Hamas military wing, gone. Hamas next chief Yahya Sinwar has not been seen in months, and Hezbollah's next in line Safieddin is untraceable. Houthis in Yemen are being bombed relentlessly in the latest. Is this the destruction of Iran's axis of resistance? Joining me on a game plan is Dr. Avner Cohen, Professor of Non-Proliferation and Terrorism Studies, Middlebury Institute. Dr. Cohen, thank you so much for joining me on game plan. Is this the end of Iran's axis of resistance, or do you feel they're going to come back even stronger? What does Iran expect to achieve in the second year, given the way the first one has gone?
Well, it's not yet. It's not there yet. Iran is a country with a great deal of resources. Elements of the axis have been beaten quite badly. The Hezbollah has been shown to some, and I think that word is perhaps overstatement, but some people call it kind of paper tiger, in the sense that all the capabilities that we expected to have been shown to be much less, and perhaps that's the case. But the whole axis, the whole Iranian axis, has not yet gone. I think we are in a critical point. And that brings us to the point that we are now, where Israel and Iran seems to be in direct conflict, what could lead to a war of attrition. And I'm afraid that either side do not have a full sense of the other one. And that's why I'm quite concerned. I think that Israel may have seen too much of what it's got already. That is to say, disseminating some element of the Iranian axis. And yet Iran is a country that produced thousands of missiles. And at the same time, what Israel... And there is, of course, the issue of the United States. I mean, Israel is able to do or feel comfortable to do certain things with the presence of the United States, given this very particular time, just a month before U.S. elections. So Israel feels that she can do a great deal. And with Netanyahu, a leader that under his watch, Israel has become its own catastrophe, essentially, what happened on October 7th a year ago. And he's trying to compensate and trying to gain back what happened under his watch.
Yes.
So we are moving to a situation that I see a lot of dangers, and in particular that the sides do not fully recognize the other side possibilities.
Dr. Cohen, now I need to bring up the recent sermon given by Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. Iran's supreme leader gives his first sermon in 5 years, and he is addressing the entire Muslim world at this point. Of course, everyone in Iran is tuning in. The axis of resistance, all the nations involved there are, of course, watching and hearing every word he's saying. That sermon is being telecasted across the world. And he's giving the sermon holding a rifle in his hand, and you can see the rifle. It's there, it's visible. And he's asking Muslims to unite against Israel and US, saying that the attack on Israel was legitimate, it was legal. On what basis are they attempting to keep this fight on when their top leaders, and it includes IRGC commanders and chiefs, have fallen like pins in the past 1 year? Of course, one IRGC commander and several others which I mentioned earlier in the address.
Well, first, one should say this is not the entire Muslim world. This is the Shiite side of the Muslim world, which is, that division has been as strong as it has been for many years. There is a great deal of concern, even though Saudi Arabia has been trying to repair its relationship with Iran. There is still a great deal of suspicions and concerns and all that. The same is with the Emirate. Jordan is concerned. Egypt is concerned. So it's not the entire Muslim world. The point that Israel has come, I mean, nobody expected that within 3 weeks, Israel would be able to put such a blow on Hezbollah. That's surprised everybody. Iran has brought it to a direct hit, and we'll see what will happen right now. I think everybody is expect what Israel will happen in the next cycle of this conflict.
Understood.
I also should note that the kind of conflict that we have seen over the last year has been so unusual. Israel has never had a war of a full year. I mean, the conflict with Hamas was one time 51 days, but it was never in that kind of intensity, and it was never had that kind of ramifications and dimensions. It was never multi-dimensional in the extent that we have seen right now. I mean, right now we see the Houthis, elements of Shiite from Iraq, of course Hezbollah, and of course Hamas. So it's an unprecedented situation in the Middle East.
Dr. Gon,
And yeah.
Like you just mentioned, I want to go back to a few things that you mentioned and also highlight a few others. In the past 1 year itself, we've seen certain things, and as you mentioned rightly, then these things have never happened in the past. This has been the longest that Israel has had this kind of a conflict. It's the first time that we've seen a multi-dimensional sort of a war which has continued for so long. It's the first time in this past few months that we've seen Iran attack Israel directly, and it has happened twice since April. A lot of these things have never happened in the past. We've all seen it happening for the first time in that last 1 year. Now, from this, I want to come to the other part which you mentioned earlier. It's not the entire Muslim world which is in agreement with what Iran is saying. And it was clear for the first time when Iran attacked Israel in April. There are reports which suggest, of course, there was no admittance to this from Saudi Arabia or UAE, but there are reports which suggest that it was Saudi Arabia and other Gulf states which gave that intelligence to Israel on the insistence of the US. Do you feel the Abraham Accords are still somewhere in existence at this point? And going forward, can that be the silver line in dulling down tensions, calming tensions in year 2, which will soon begin now?
Very much so. Very much so. In fact, it has proved itself stronger than many people thought. Israel could not have been attacked Iran without tacit permissions of one or more countries that allow us to use in a quiet way its airspace. Without the coordination of the Central Command of the United States, and the fact that even as of just last Tuesday, those countries are participating, including the United States and actually France, and the UK was providing some element to the defense, the air defense that helped Israel. So I think this is still exists. Not all of it is over the surface. Some elements are more tacit, more quiet, but Israel could not have the kind of confidence in terms of its deterrence, in terms of its commitment to hit back on Iran without that kind of support. How far and what Israel can do this time, it's open, and we all it's an open question. We will see in the next few days.
I hear your point. Dr. Cohen, one more point I'd like to bring up before we close this.
Yeah.
Iran carried out the attack on Israel. It has happened twice. The last time in April, it was a very dulled response from Israel. Of course, it never even came out in the open. Iran dismissed it as an attack. that they carried out on an Israeli drone which crashed on Iranian land. Israel said that they destroyed an air defense system from Iran. Both countries kind of dulled it down, and that was the end of that. At this point, Israel is out in the open saying that we are going to attack, and now everyone's waiting for when Israel's counter is going to come. Do you feel an attack on Iran's nuclear sites are possible?
Yes, I feel it is possible. I am concerned about it. In my view, it would not be right. I think it could allow change, not just the region, but even the whole proliferation story, because I think that Iran may take a very different move. Iran may leave the NPT, and Iran may openly argue for its right to have nuclear weapons after it's being attacked. And I don't think that the damage that Israel could do could be that kind of significant. It may do some kind of delay or some kind of damage for a year or two, but not that much. So I'm concerned about it, but I think that under Prime Minister Netanyahu and his own dreams and his own obsessions, that's quite possible. So that's one of the reasons why I'm very much concerned.
Dr. Avner Cohen, thank you so much for joining me on Game Plan.
My pleasure.
Time. Always a pleasure speaking with you, and your insights based on precedent are always one that provide a lot of information and insight into what to expect next. Of course, this is a very concerning time. An attack on nuclear sites is one that causes concern, but is one which is still possible coming from Israel. We'll need to wait and watch what happens next. That was Dr. Avner Cohen joining me on Game Plan, Professor of Non-Proliferation and Terrorism Studies, Middlesbrough Institute.
Thank you very much.